Hey folks, how you doing tonight? It's Carpo, and well, I always start out my videos the same. Hey, it's Carpo, and I realized in my own personality, my quirks, and the little nuances and things that I do that make me human, I guess. And I wanted to talk for a minute about idols and people and the image that we have of people as opposed to what the people really are. Now, I want to use an example here of, well, there's a line in an ICP song that I could quote, which is pretty funny. He's talking about a judge who's judging him in a case, and he says, says, "Who is he? A bitch, nothing great. He takes shits and fucks his old floppy wife, plays with his balls and judges my life." Now, that's crude, of course. The line meaning that this judge goes home and does things that everybody else does and then comes into the courtroom wearing a robe and gets respect. And this is authority that's given to people by sometimes earned respect and sometimes forcibly given respect, or otherwise respect out of fear. But my imperfections in life, like let's say I were to be I've thought in the past of going out and promoting certain movements or ideas, but none of them really grabbed me strong enough to make me dedicate my time fully to it, which is why I'm a philosopher. This is what I'm dedicating my life to, is philosophy. I know this now. I never really considered it philosophy in the past. I considered it seeking, searching, knowledge, whatever you might want to, but it's philosophy. It's the love of wisdom. All forms. So there are a lot of other folks out there like me. So when I'm talking about idolizing, I'm not talking about celebrities here, although I use the judge as an example. And celebrities are a good example too. They're these great people, they're making all this money, and they're supposed to be these, a good image for children, and then all of a sudden they get caught. Like, remember when the, what's his name, got busted smoking weed out of a bong? Who was it? Was it the swimmer? It was Phelps, right? Michael Phelps, I think. I don't follow sports. I just remember that incident. And people don't know what to say. They're saying, "Oh, our sport, people who are doing sports are drugging." But if he was doing meth, that'd be one thing. But smoking weed and swimming, it's obviously not assisting him. So, not to get off track, the idea that he's a human too. He goes to parties, he takes bong hits, he does other things, he does things beyond just being this image. So now let's carry this on over to a lot of the truthers of today. Folks who have earned a lot of respect in the alternate media and the alternative information sect or sector or group on the internet. All alternate media is on the internet, more or less. You might be able to get a few alternative views on public access or personal views within a channel that's owned by a larger conglomerate. But if you want the real news, the real information, you have to source it out yourself and do your own homework. So sometimes we find a person who is a really good speaker and who's really eloquent with their words and who really gives us a good image of the world around us. Now, I don't want to use any examples here, but I'm going to. Max Egan is a perfect example of what I'm saying here. He's developed a large following of people who want to be aware, who are sick of the way things are going, and who believe in standing up for their rights. Now, I respect everything Max says. Everything he says to me, more or less, is true to an extent. He's a reasonable man. He has some reasonable views and a very calm approach with how to deal with his views. However, he's spinning circles, you see. And people are saying, "You're so right, Max. You're so right, Max," in the comment section, which is true. He is right. But we end up, certain folks become almost idolized as like these truther, I don't know, leaders, you know. And what happens is they become obligated to provide more information than they're able to provide. In other words, for me, I can sit and make a video about whatever subject I want. I don't have anybody breathing down my neck to, make a certain video or cover a certain subject or even have an opinion worked out on any particular thing. But some folks do, and they collect, donations, and they're expected to present, conclusive evidence or at least ideas on how to change things or how to help the world, whatever their mission may be. Now, Max I use as an example because his idea of how to deal with it is to opt out of society. Now, I can see from a single person's perspective that would be easy to do. You could be a minimalist and really kind of opt out of everything. When you're a family man with kids, and everything's totally different, and you live in, say, the U.S., it's really hard to opt out of society when you live in the U.S. with a family. So, if I can bring this together, while the ideas are sound that these people are presenting, we we give people a lot of honor and praise for bringing forth the things that they do. Now, I want to say on a side note that for the folks who give me praise, I don't, it never goes to my head, and I don't think that I'm almost like, I'm much more appreciative when a person confronts me with an idea of a different way of looking at something, or confronts me on my particular view on something, as opposed to someone who just agrees and says, yeah, that's probably true. Because I don't know what's true. I don't know any more than the next person, or what we should be doing. And I think that that's a big question right now. A lot of folks are asking the big questions in life. Where do we come from? And where are we going? What's our future? And what's our past? But it's a lot harder when you try to imagine what are we supposed to be doing as a society right now. What is our path? What are we here to do? So we want leaders in these fields, people who can tell us what we're supposed to do. And that's not such a bad thing all the time. I've often said, that people need to think for themselves and don't believe what other people tell you, and I totally do believe that. But to an extent, if you reject everything that you've been told, you're not learning anything, because all of the experiences that base who we are subjective experiences. The way that we behave or react to a certain situation is due to our personal experience and how we deal with the situation based on past experiences. And it's really easy to convince ourselves that we know something that we may not know. And I know that because I think we've all done it. I find it a lot easier to admit it to myself than to be in denial. It's a lot easier for me to say I had an idea and I don't know if that's true anymore than for me to try to fight it out and hang on to that for my whole life. Folks might call it a wishy-washy kind of attitude. In politics, it's very frowned upon. Changing your mind on something. But a good politician should be able to do that. I remember seeing an interview with one politician, they said, well, you used to say this, and now you say this. Why? And he said, because the information presented to me had changed my opinion, because I had the proper evidence at my disposal, And this is how we should all look at everything, every one of us, and each other. And So I'll leave it at that because I said I was going to keep my videos shorter. Peace, everybody.